Mm. Victory Monday in the playoffs.
In the playoffs, man. If you don't know, the Houston Texans obliterated the
Mm.
Cleveland Browns. But before we get into that, this episode is brought to you by Bet Online. With NFL playoffs right around the corner and the NBA season in full swing, Bet Online has you covered with all the up to second odds, news, and scores. With additional odds, lines, trends, and info on both desktop and mobile, you can access the world's best wagering information anytime.
Head there today to get into the action and see all the updated odds. Remember to use promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online where the game starts.
You see the chat already going crazy, man. What's going on, Jalen, YNG, Frank, Kadon, BC14, Danny Berry? Good to see you guys, man. We are reacting to the Houston Texans blowout win over the Cleveland Browns. But let's talk a little bit of what happened before the game. Me and Harley were at the tailgate. Shout out to not only the Enough Sale tailgaters, but the Horns Up tailgaters.
Mm.
Harley, how was the tailgate, man?
Enough said is they're strong. Everybody knows them. They got that recognition. They got that.
Hey, they're champs for a reason.
They are. Horns Up that was a very underrated tailgate spot. Horns Up was fire. Like absolutely fire. The music was popping. And no offense to the Nuff Set tailgaters, but more of the music that me and yourself vibe to.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for a certain distinguished race. Lots of arrasa there.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun to see everyone there. Open bar. I mean, can't get any better than an open bar. I mean, little shots with the pickle as a chaser.
That was legit.
That sounds crazy to people in the group chat. In the chat here. That sounds crazy. It was legit.
Yes. Shout out to A-Sign Holtzman, man. Saw you there. No, they had their own little igloo of 3 gallons worth of that alcohol. It was like pickle juice, a shot of liquor, and then the chaser was a pickle. So it was just sour. It was good. And man, I almost wanted to stay there and watch the game. And I was on the Horns Up TikTok, and it was packed for the game, and they went absolutely insane, dude.
You might think about it.
Yeah, that might be something we have to do, man.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
The crowd was insane too, but what was interesting was it looked like a lot of Cleveland Browns fans. At first, it looked like it was going to be a takeover. That's what everyone was saying at the tailgate, because it feels like they all just met up in one spot. And thank God it wasn't that. It was a jam-packed Houston Texans crowd. The first time it has been at full capacity all year. Harley, what were your thoughts on the crowd?
Fantastic. And from what everyone else was saying that was at the game, not just like we can include the local radio guys as well. Like they said, the crowd hasn't bumped like that. I mean, they were going as far back as 2002 Cowboys.
Wow.
Like, it's crazy to think that way, So you can say that this crowd has not bumped like that since the 2012 year when the Houston Texans made it to their inaugural playoff game at home. And, we all know the rest. Pick six, JJ, Arian Foster did his thing. Andre Johnson did his thing. And TJ Yates was slinging it. So it's a lot of fun to see. The crowd is hyped. Everyone was vibing. And it feels a lot better when the Houston Texans demolished the dog shit Browns.
You demolished them in a way that no one expected. The Houston Texans, ladies and gentlemen, they gave up in the fourth quarter. There was nothing left for them to do. They absolutely massacred the Cleveland Browns 45-14 to 14. They made Joe Flacco look like that 38-year-old man who just got off the couch. CJ Stroud, 16 of 21, 274 yards, 3 tutties, 0 INTs, a quarterback rating of 157.2. That is GOAT status. Was also sacked 0 times. We have to talk about this offensive line performance against the number 1 defense in the NFL. But Harley, it looked easy for the offense. If they wanted 2 more touchdowns, they could have got it.
Yeah, it looked like we were playing the Tennessee Titans. Like that's what it looked like. There was no, like, in the first quarter there was okay, this looks like it's going to be a shootout.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Joe Flacco, he is who we thought we was.
Mm-hmm.
All right. He's a 38-year-old quarterback. And like I said on my damn channel, man, I said it on the video, Cinderella story, it's over. Midnight is struck. And that carriage, that beautiful carriage, is turning him back to that rotten, decaying pumpkin that he is. He's a 38-year-old quarterback that came off the couch eating potato chips. And there is a reason why he was on that couch. All right. It's because he throws cookies. It don't matter what flavor. You get any flavor, he going to hand them out to you personally. Chocolate chip, oatmeal raisin. And you had 2 of them from this defense, courtesy of Steven Nelson and Christian Harris.
Dude, I mean, defense, I mean, we could go ahead and start with them. I mean, just insane performance. And like you said, at first, it looked like it was going back and forth. But after Kareem Hunt scored that touchdown off of the pitch from Flacco, it was shut down. The running game for Cleveland, I mean, 8 rushes from Kareem Hunt for 26 yards, and he had the 1 touchdown. I mean, to keep Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford, both of them, under 30 yards is absolutely insane. But we knew that was going to happen. We knew the Houston Texans run defense, which has been the best all year in the NFL, was going to shut down Cleveland's rushing attack. It was, how do you handle the passing attack from Joe Flacco? Because even though he gives you those cookies, he's also going to put up 330 yards a game and sling it all over you. What this secondary did was absolutely insane, and it is a credit to this D-line's performance.
Mm-hmm.
And it really wasn't like just one player. It was Kurt Hinish. It was Derek Barnett. Derek Barnett should have had 2 or 3 sacks. The impact that our backups had on the defensive line is insane. And we talked about this. We talked about when this defensive line is fully healthy and these guys have an opportunity to come off the field and rest and go back in 100%, it makes this D-line even dangerous. And there could have been 2-3 more sacks by this defensive line, man. They were feasting on Saturday.
Yeah, they were. And credit to Nick Caserio getting Derek Barnett, one of the more underrated pickups for across the NFL, actually, in terms of waiver wires. I know the Miami Dolphins would have loved to have gotten a Derek Barnett, knowing what they know now, hindsight 2020, that not only Jalen Phillips was going to be out, but Bradley Chubb as well.
Mm-hmm.
This Houston Texans team has depth, and it's really good to see right now that this Texans team is also getting healthier. The defensive line did an amazing job against Joe Flacco. We said this the first time we faced them. We all know it's like capture the flag with Joe Flacco. He's not going to move anywhere. He is a statue quarterback. He's a pocket passer. He's not going to get out of the pocket. He's not going to be moving. So that's the biggest difference for this defensive line and how they're going to be able to prepare for what should be an interesting matchup this next week. Well, I know we'll get into that in a little bit, but yeah, the defensive line definitely held their own. And shout out to D'Amico, changing up the game plan. We just heard him in that Cleveland press conference, the post-game press conference from Week 16. They asked him about Derek Stingley in the corners, and he said, "Oh, well, we don't shade guys. We play them on one side." And then this man don't play him in poker, buddy. That poker face of his, because he absolutely lied through his teeth, because Derek Stingley was shadowed on Amari Cooper 80% of the time
Mm.
in the game. Steven Nelson was shadowed on David Njoku for most of that game as well. Derek Stingley was just putting on a clinic and showcasing why he should have been in the Pro Bowl and or making a claim to be at least second team All Pro.
This dude is one of the top cornerbacks in the NFL. And we knew he had that type of potential, Harley. It was
Yeah,
never a matter of talent. It was a matter of whether or not he could stay on the football field. And man, he's even better than I expected.
he
Derek
is.
Stingley is a legit shutdown corner. And if he does stay healthy, watch out. Watch out, because 24 is going to have his own nickname in a couple of years. That's just going to be a staple point. He's going to have his own side of the field that's just going to be absolutely covered by him, man. Derek Stingley, fantastic. Also, Steven Nelson, fantastic. Gets an opportunity to take one back to the crib, which he does. Great blocking by 53 Blake Cashman. Lays out a Browns offensive lineman. And Derek Stingley also great block too, leading him into the end zone. That pick six was just absolutely electric. Derek Brown has pressure on the play. I think he turns Joe Flacco's shoulders around, which causes that ugly throw. Dude, that pick six was insane. I mean, we were watching it together doing the
Yeah.
live stream. Shout out to everyone who hopped in. It was insane. But dude, Steven Nelson, shout out to him, man.
Yeah, he had a great game. Like I said, Texans defense, they really showed up and showed out, and you could tell they did their homework on this Browns offense, and they made sure that Joe Flacco was not going to be comfortable, and he was not going to replicate anything what he did in his first performance against us in week 16.
And then I think the man of the day deserves his own little segment. I think Christian Harris Harley
Mm.
is going to become the captain for the Houston Texans defense next year. The legit captain of the Houston Texans defense next year. What he has done the past month and a half at the linebacker position is insane. His game against the Browns, elite. 8 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a sack, an interception that he took back to the crib. He is the only player alongside of J.J. Watt to get a pick six and a sack in a playoff game at NRG. When you are compared to one of our GOATs, man, you deserve to be talked about. Christian Harris, have yourself a game. You are becoming elite.
Yeah, he is definitely, man, what he's done. It just goes to show you what a whole seasoning of D'Amico Ryans does for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the beginning of this season, it was kind of like, man, Christian Harris isn't progressing as much as we'd wanted him to, or as much as we thought he was going to. We all thought that with D'Amico Ryans, who has been known to improve linebacker play, we all saw it with the San Francisco 49ers. And so we're expecting, Christian Harris, former Alabama linebacker, had some bright spots in a Lovie Smith defense. I'm expecting, okay, yeah, D'Amico's going to get in there with him, sprinkle that seasoning on him, and he's going to make it work. The beginning, it was tough, but this second half of the season, it has just been elite work by Christian Harris. Harris County, the nickname that the Houston Texans dropped on Twitter, was absolutely fantastic. We heard it on 610 a few times. It's been absolutely fun to just see Christian Harris play football and see him take over games, it felt like.
No, and then that sack, I mean, the one to
Yeah.
just kick him out of field goal range, just throws Joe Flacco on the floor, just announces himself like to the NFL world, man. During the playoffs, these stars rise to the occasion, and to have a type of game like this in the H was nuts to see. You know what else is crazy, Harley? This didn't feel like our first playoff game.
Nope.
It felt like we were in the divisional round. We just won the wild card against the Indianapolis Colts. This team, dude, is battle tested already in year one.
Yeah, it is. And I'm glad you said that because 2 weeks ago we were in a playoff game. We played the Indianapolis Colts in week 18, and that was a playoff game. That was CJ Stroud on the road, this Texans offense and defense on the road, and they showed up for the game. Could it have been better? Yeah, but a dub's a dub, and you move on to the next round. All right. You beat the crap out of the Cleveland Browns. Hey, 45-14. They can say whatever they want about injuries, referees. I don't care because we were underdogs. The
Mm.
whole national media took a big old crap on the Houston Texans picking the Browns. Everybody picked the Browns. Nobody gave them a chance. Nobody. And the Houston Texans went in there and let the NFL know that we are here. And CJ Stroud let the NFL know that he is here. And now the big thing is, how do you react to pressure? How do you react to that? Because you're not getting that from the Baltimore Ravens are going to be ready for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Steelers, the Bills or Chiefs, they're going to be ready for you. You know, like the rest of this NFL, the division next year as well. They're going to be ready because they're not going to take a rookie quarterback lightly anymore. This is a second-year quarterback going into the league. You know, they're not going to take D'Amico and this roster lightly, possibly as they did at the beginning of this year. So the Houston Texans definitely now have expectations. And yeah, the expectations rose throughout this year.
Mm-hmm.
But next year, it's just going to be inflated.
Dude, 100. My fault. 100%, dude. Like, next year, I'm expecting 10 plus wins. I'm expecting this team to be AFC South champion again. It's always the year that you're supposed to be good. That's the funnest. And we said it ourselves, 5 to 7 wins. Show us improvement. Show us something with the young core. And they showed us they can get to the playoffs in year one with a roster that is not even complete yet, man. This offseason for the Houston Texans is going to be insane with $97 million to mess around with. Let's go back to the Houston Texans offense. Nico Collins, 6 receptions, 96 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, dude, what more can we say about Nico? There should be no longer a question. He is a legit number one wide receiver. 195 last year and a touchdown, and then a 95-yard performance and a touchdown against the Cleveland Browns, who have the best secondary in the NFL. Once again, one of the best defenses in the NFL. There was no Noah Brown. There was literally no Robert Woods, no Xavier Hutchinson. You got an emergence game from John Mechie. That was only 44 yards. The other 2 leading receivers were Brevin Jordan and Dalton Schultz. It has been the Nico Collins show.
It has. And as much as I agree with you, I am happy with CJ Stroud also spreading the football around.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, because yes, Nico Collins, he's absolutely wide receiver one. He showcased that multiple times. He gets another chance to showcase it against the Baltimore Ravens. But you mentioned Brevin Jordan. Hey, one play, I'll take it. 76 yards, touchdown. Like, these are the type of plays you are going to need because you do have a lack of weapons offensively. Like, that's just a matter of fact. And there's no offense. That is no slout to Mechie or Xavier Hutchinson, who are essentially still rookies. You know, Brevin Jordan, we haven't seen a lot of. The little bit we've seen with CJ, it looks magical. So who knows? But you know, you don't have your Tank Dell, Robert Woods, and now Noah Brown, who just got placed on the IR earlier today as
Yeah.
the news for the Texans. So, you know, you are without those guys. And it's not easy for CJ Stroud to do what he did
Mm-mm.
against the number one defense and still slice and dice the way he was doing. And John Mechie gets a little bit of the pie. Xavier Hutchinson, you get a little love. Brevin Jordan gets a little love. Dalton Schultz, here you go, bud. You're just rocking and rolling. Nico Collins, we all know he's been rocking and rolling, but I need Nico to really show up. This is a game where you need your superstars to be superstars, and Nico has to show up and be a superstar. We've seen him have these good, great performances. We need one this Saturday.
I mean, last time he went against the Ravens, he put up 80 yards. So Nico
Need
Collins
more than
has
that.
been consistent all year, man. And I think he's just finding his rhythm. When Tank Dell went down, a
Mm,
lot of people were not expecting Nico Collins to be doing this.
yeah,
But for him to be just absolutely balling out, man, it just, like a commenter said, like he found his quarterback, he got his guy.
true.
And this connection of CJ Stroud to Nico Collins, 7-12, is working, ladies and gentlemen. Dalton Schultz.
Mm,
Yes, it's only one catch. 37 yards for the tutty. We said it on the stream. That reminded us of that Gary Kubiak matchup to
mm,
Owen Daniels for the touchdown. A great route by him. Hate that he bobbed with it a little bit. However, nonetheless, touchdown, Dalton Schultz. And then John Mechie. 3 receptions, 44 yards. I am sorry for all the shit I talked about you for the entire year. Give me a touchdown and I'll really regret what
mm.
I just said, man. Do the crane against the Ravens and we could get into John Mechie just surprising everyone. Harley, what did you think about his 44-yard performance?
It was great to see actually, and
Finally.
not as just if you're just a football fan and you know of the story that John Mechie has gone through, it's fantastic to see him have success on the football field. It's been a struggle for him all year, whether or not it's playing time or just the the lack of good reps, I'll say, to put nicely, from him. But to get 44 yards, 3 catches, the over the shoulder basket catch that he had, that was a beautiful ball from CJ Stroud. Just absolute dot, drop it in the bucket kind of pass. It was gorgeous. But kudos to John Mechie for showing up a little bit, getting to see just a little bit of what he can do. Okay, but I need a lot more of that in the Baltimore Ravens game. I'm
He
sorry.
run blocks well.
Yes, he does. Him and Hutchinson run black very, very well. But their plate is about to get bigger,
Yeah.
and it's only going to get bigger and bigger if you continue to move on in these playoffs. But the plate is going to get bigger, and I am not forgiving myself for any of my John Mechie criticism. All right, until I see that man get a tutty and do the crane, I will forgive him. Until he does the crane, if I have not seen a crane yet here in H Town, I have seen plenty of the namastes from Arian Foster, so I need the crane from John Mechie. It would be elite.
I need it, man. I
Mm,
need it. I do that. And then the fact that it could be potentially in the playoffs is absolutely insane. Hey, if John Mechie rises to the occasion, man, that's more than great for this Houston Texan offense. It's going to take a lot of people to really beat the Baltimore Ravens because that's who we are playing against. The Baltimore Ravens on Saturday at 3:30. Nathan said reports say DeShaun has let the team know the best masseuses in Baltimore should have good knowledge of this, being that he is in their division. Bro, how'd you feel about seeing DeShaun on the sideline?
Seeing DeShaun on the sideline, uh, he looked like that bitter that bitter ex-girlfriend that left you, and now you're doing a lot better than her. You're doing so much better. You got your new girl. He saw your new girl. It was CJ Stroud. He saw that place rocking and rolling. You can't tell me there wasn't a pit in his stomach because, and I'll say it, that should be him.
Ooh,
That should be him in that city, our city. And he was supposed to be the one that is supposed to be doing what legendary things that are coming off a rookie in CJ Stroud.
mm.
You can't tell me he does not have any pit in his stomach, any sort of second thoughts in his head. Like maybe I should have wrote this out. Maybe I should have. Hell, I don't give a damn. Take the year off. Like the Houston Texans fans were so behind DeShaun Watson. As soon as whatever happened, we would turn on you like that. It does not matter who you are. It was petty. It was ugly. And that man, hey man, jealousy's not a good look on him.
It's really not, brother. It was crazy to see, our kind of our past, on the sideline. And I did think about that as well. Like, man, dude, DeShaun should still be a Houston Texan. It's insane that you thought you had your guy, you trade him away, you go on an horrible 2 years, 7 combined wins in 2 years. Then you get CJ Stroud at the second overall pick, and he has changed your franchise. Just insane what we are watching, man. And when it comes to awards, Harley, I think the Houston Texans are going to have 4 winners. I think it's going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Rookie of the Year, CJ Stroud, Will Anderson. Coach of the Year, D'Amico Ryans. He just beat the other top candidates, Shane Steichman and Kevin Stefanski. And I think Executive of the Year, man, Nick Caserio, who should be puffing his chest for the job well done he has did in just one off season. Remember, he said it multiple times in the final press conference last year. If I don't do a good job, I will not be here. And right now, man, there is no one else I want driving the Houston Texans other than Nick Caserio at GM.
Yeah, man, he's done a very underrated job. I don't think a lot of Texans fans have given him his credit. I know some are now. We're finally realizing it. We mentioned Derek Barnett already earlier in this stream. We've mentioned the numerous offensive linemen that he traded for that we criticized him for. We criticized him for, you know, fumbling the Kenyon Green situation this early this season, knowing that he was hurt and not doing anything about it. Well, actually, he did do something about it. He went and got you Kendrick Green. He went and got you Nick
Josh
Broker
Jones
and a bunch of other trash offensive linemen. But Kendrick Green had himself a game against the Pittsburgh Steelers in a game where you had literally almost zero offensive linemen starting. I think there was no offensive line besides Shaq Mason. Actually, excuse me, that was starting for the game, he's been fantastic, and who brought in Shaq Mason? Nick Caserio. So there's so many people that you can go on and on about with Nick. He's done a fantastic job, and I would say more calm this year with Nick Caserio at GM than I was last year.
I'm just excited to see what he can do with potentially $97 million in his pocket. Harley, we're traveling to Baltimore. Now, I've seen this before. Last time we played Baltimore, I think there was another rookie at quarterback by the name of T.J. Yates. How are you feeling heading into Baltimore Saturday, 3:30, with your starting quarterback being Coleridge Bernard Stroud the fourth?
First of all, let's open up the statement with, as long as number 7 is at my quarterback position, I can win any game. I'll tell you that right now. As long as CJ Stroud is suiting up for the Houston Texans at the quarterback position, we can win any game. So, moving on with that, the Houston Texans do face the Baltimore Ravens at Baltimore Saturday, January 20th, 3:30 p.m. Make sure y'all are all watching. I know y'all will be. It's going to be a fantastic game. I'll say you that right now. Both teams are not the same. I know a lot of Texans fans are saying, well, this Texans team isn't the same team. This Ravens team isn't either. Week 1 was a perfect time to face the Ravens and maybe steal a game from them just because of the offense not being all the way set with Todd Monken and Lamar Jackson. Now they got a full season under their belt with Todd Monken, who's proved himself to be a pretty solid offensive coordinator, has gained some traction for some teams and, looking at head coach potentially. So who knows? I don't think that happens, but who knows? Unlike Bobby Slowick, who's getting a lot of traction from teams, the Houston Texans are going to have their hands full against the Baltimore Ravens. But don't fret, Texans fans. As much as this Baltimore Ravens team is good, we all know they have Lamar Jackson. We all know they have multiple players, and the roster is supremely talented. We all know this. They have not essentially played in 3 weeks. They
That's
rested
big.
most. It is huge. Donald Trump,
Huge.
huge. Baltimore Ravens have not played in almost 3 weeks. What do I mean by that? They rested their starters in week 18. I mean, almost 3 weeks of no football. That has to catch up to you. Like you would want to believe so. Sometimes it's good to have that bye week, but sometimes the rust has to play a factor in some case. So what does that mean? The Baltimore Ravens could start off the game struggling. If the Houston Texans want to beat this team, they have to come out hot.
Mm.
They have to come out touchdown, touchdown. Like they gotta punch them in their mouth. And they gotta know, hey, okay, we're here to play football because the Ravens could come out cold. They haven't played in 3 weeks. Now I can see them finishing the game strong, and then you're in a dogfight with them, but you want to have such a big lead that doesn't necessarily happen.
Mm.
So CJ Stroud and the Texans, hey, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Oof.
And you got the best three teams left in the AFC: Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Buffalo Bills. Bring on whoever's going to come here. I do not care. The Houston Texans and CJ Stroud and D'Amico Ryans, we ready.
Mm.
We ready, man. We ready to stand on business. And hey, man, let's get it.
I'm actually excited. And the Texans being 9.5 underdogs is kind of insane. So if you want to make some money, put it on the Houston Texans, man. I think they're going to go out there and shock the world. Like Harley says, having 3 weeks off of football, it does catch up to you. Both teams are different than week one. But you look at number 7, you look at CJ Stroud, and going back to what he said against the Indianapolis Colts, we're too special. We're too effing special. And I believe that. Another thing going well for us is health wise. Watch Will Anderson and Jonathan Grenard get a little bit more healthy. That is going to be a huge part of this game is can you get to Lamar Jackson, who is just an offense entirely in himself. This is going to be a great game, man. I promise you, it's going to be electric. It might live up to the hype. I don't think it is going to be a blowout. I do think the key is getting ahead early and riding the storm of the Baltimore Ravens once they start to get into their rhythm. Nonetheless, man, I think it's going to be a W for the Houston Texans, but we'll get to that as the week goes on.
Mm.
Harley, as we end today's episode, it is a Victory Monday. The Houston Texans just blow out the Browns 45-14. Announce themselves to the world, man. Final thoughts and let them know where they could find your latest work.
My final thoughts are this. I told you so.
Mm.
I told everybody.
What?
I had 31-17 Texans beat the crap
What?
out of the Cleveland Browns. All right.
What?
I didn't want to hear all this trash talk. You know who's been real quiet?
The
A lot of
Browns.
those Browns fans in my YouTube comment section. Don't think I have forgotten. I got plenty of time tomorrow to revisit the comment section of my YouTube channel on all those videos with everybody saying CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
They absolutely dominated that dog shit team. We all knew it. There was a home split difference way back into week 16. All of our predictions from week 16 came true to just last Saturday, just a few days ago. All of those came true because we had CJ Stroud, because we were a lot healthier, and they beat the crap out of them barking dogs, whatever you want to call them. We put them down. We
Mm.
put them down.
No, don't
The
say that.
Houston Texans, the
Don't say
Houston
that.
Texans,
No.
the Houston Texans treated them like Old Yeller. That's exactly what they did. They went out there and they put down Old Yeller. All right. And Old Yeller's name was Joe Flacco. That's exactly what the Houston Texans did. So the Cleveland Browns, they could all laugh, they could all dance about beating Case Keenum and a bunch of backup to backup guys. They got introduced to what Texans football is all about. Christian Harris, Steven Nelson, CJ Stroud, and we haven't even mentioned Bobby Slowick had a hell of a play call game for that Browns
He
game.
might be
Shout out
gone.
to him because I know certain people that were also talking shit
Mm.
about Bobby Slowick, and I came to his defense, and a lot of people were upset. You saw that live stream. You
Oh,
remember
hey,
that live stream? I was upset in that live stream because people were talking noise on Bobby Slowick's name. Now, I'll tell you this, do it again for 3 more games, Bobby. You can go be a head coach. How about that? You can find me at the lead _ Houston anywhere on YouTube. All my socials are the lead HOU. We're on the road to 8,000 subscribers. If you like what you're hearing, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Like, comment, subscribe. Go ahead and like this video. My channel, Ruben's channel, wherever. If you missed it, preferably we always love to get to you audibly on the Believe in Texans podcast. You can find it anywhere where you stream all your podcasting platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, whatever. So yeah, man, appreciate all of y'all that we met at the tailgate. It
it
was
was fun.
fantastic, and it was even sweeter that we already knew the outcome, and we already knew that the Houston Texans were going to beat the Cleveland Browns. So it just made it so much sweeter. There was so much confidence in me. I wore all black,
You
because
did?
I wore all black for a reason, because it was going to be a funeral, and I was attending the Cleveland Browns funeral. All right, so that's exactly what happened, and I knew it was going to happen.
So if we beat Baltimore, we come back here for the AFC Championship, right?
No,
Oh, we'll be on the road
because
again.
Bills and Chiefs, you had to have the Steelers win.
Oh,
The Steelers were your last chance, for if there was an AFC championship game, the Steelers would have to beat the Bills
mm.
today, and then they would have to beat the Chiefs. There would have been no way. There's no way that was happening. So, hey, it is what it is, man. Let's go get these dubs.
Final thoughts. Houston Texans, they shocked the world. And they shocked the world in a way that their performance against the Cleveland Browns should strike fear in every team that sees the red, white, and blue before them. They just showed you that they could put up 45 points against the number 1 defense in the NFL. Their defense just showed you they can score on the defense as well via 2 pick sixes.
Mm,
You are not safe when you play against the Houston Texans.
mm.
With that being said, you got to do it again, baby. The legend of CJ Stroud Harley will continue to grow. And when you beat the Baltimore Ravens, Houston Texans fans, you know what you are going to become? You are going to become the favorites to represent and win the Super Bowl. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and have CJ Stroud in Vegas hoist that Lombardi trophy up alongside of D'Amico Ryans. Let's start the tears. Let's start it right now. The Houston Texans are writing their story, and they're going to shock the world like they've been doing all year, guys. Follow me on YouTube at 713 Houston Sports. Have a very blessed rest of your night.